Before we dig into these 33 strange facts, let me tell you straight. If you're serious about military history, battlefield psychology, and the odd details that shape the world's most effective commanders, then you should subscribe to History Reborn Alive right now. This channel is built for people who don't want watered-down timelines or surface-level storytelling. If you're here for real history, for the hidden stories behind the big names, and for lessons you can actually apply, then hit that subscribe button, because you're in the right place. Now let's get into the strange side of the generals we think we know so well. These men weren't statue-perfect legends. They were highly unusual, often unpredictable, and sometimes downright bizarre. That's what makes studying them valuable. When you pull away the heroic polish and look at the odd habits and strange decisions, you start to understand how they built influence, how they kept armies alive, and how they became the kind of leaders people followed into impossible situations. Take Julius Caesar. Everyone knows the broad strokes about him, but the weird truth is that he openly used his epilepsy to build political mystique. When he collapsed in public, instead of hiding it, he let Romans see it, because it made people believe he was touched by the divine. It's an early example of narrative control, and the modern lesson is straightforward. When you can't hide a weakness, define it on your own terms, so others interpret it the way you want. Napoleon went in an entirely different direction. His biggest quirk wasn't military genius or tireless writing, it was his obsession with brutally hot baths. He used them to shock his body awake after long marches and sleepless nights. While most soldiers collapsed from exhaustion, Napoleon forced himself into a routine that kept his mind sharper than theirs. Today, people use contrast therapy and heat exposure for the same purpose. It's a direct example of an old habit becoming a modern performance tool. Hannibal's strangest detail wasn't crossing the Alps with elephants, as unbelievable as that still sounds. It was actually the poison ring he carried at all times, not because he feared death, but because he refused to be displayed in Rome as a trophy of war. That psychological line, "I'll die before I let my enemies humiliate me," is the same mindset that allows modern survivalists and elite operators to mentally prepare for worst-case scenarios long before they happen. Preparation, you see, starts in the mind. Alexander the Great had his own oddity. He carried custom-blended oils with him everywhere, and even in chaotic battlefield moments, his presence was known by scent before he spoke. That consistency created a psychological anchor for his troops. They associated that specific smell with momentum, victory, and inspiration. Leaders today honestly underestimate how powerful a consistent presence can be, whether it's tone, routine, or ritual. Sun Tzu's strangeness comes from the fact that we still can't prove he was a single person. It's entirely possible that Sun Tzu was a collective identity used by several strategists. The takeaway is simple. Powerful ideas matter more than the ego of their creator. In a modern sense, it reminds anyone studying strategy to chase principles, not personalities. So, Khalid ibn al-Walid's weirdest fact is, ironically, his death. I mean, here was a warrior who survived every single battle, scarred from head to toe, and yet he died quietly in bed. That fact, well, it frustrated him deeply, But it also teaches us something important. Preparation, skill, and experience can change outcomes dramatically, but fate still plays its part. You can do everything right and still reach an unexpected ending. Survivors, they understand that flexibility is just as important as strength. Shaka Zulu. Now he had one of the harshest training philosophies in military history. He actually forced his warriors to run barefoot across thorns to harden their feet. It sounds brutal, doesn't it? But it works so effectively that his regiments move faster than any contemporary force. The practical lesson here is that unconventional conditioning can create advantages conventional thinkers never see coming. When others train for comfort, you train for edge. Subutai, Genghis Khan's most brilliant general, had an almost unnatural sense of distance and speed. His armies could move 100 miles in a day because he planned logistics with such precision that even modern officers study his methods. This is the backbone of all survival planning. You win with logistics long before you reach the crisis moment. If you can measure time, distance and calories as cleanly as Subutai measured his marches, you're already ahead. Even Ulysses S. Grant wasn't free from oddities. His legendary calmness under fire wasn't natural. It was controlled through constant cigar chewing. It steadied his nerves, gave him a rhythm, and kept his mind locked in. It cost him his health, but it shows that great leaders often rely on rituals to keep themselves focused. The modern version is finding a healthier rhythm that cues your brain into a readiness state. These are only a portion of the 33 facts explored in this documentary, but each one reveals something essential. Greatness is rarely clean. It's weird, obsessive, disciplined, and shaped by habits outsiders don't always understand. For historians and survivalists alike, the lesson is simple. Study the odd details. That's where the real insight hides. If you gained something from this breakdown or learned a fact you didn't know before, subscribe to History Reborn Alive and share this video with another history lover. This channel exists to keep the deep stories alive, and your support keeps the research going.